Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Poets at War. This one is from January 7th, 2025, or no, excuse me, 2026. And it features me and Alexander Robertson mainly. Just a good, fun, simple conversation that we had. I was, for those who were keeping up, able to get to Oklahoma to see Alex recently and his wife Debbie and son James. We had a really, really great time. My daughter Hazel was with me as well. Thank you to the members of the Brood who helped make that happen. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this one.
Hello there.
How's it going?
Oh, going pretty well. I had a surprise job pop up. Sorry.
It's all good. What surprise job?
Originally recaulking a shower for family friend, and then realized that there was a lot more wrong, and so now I am rigging the shower so that it will last until they're ready to replace it entirely.
Oh,
So,
fun.
Yep.
Well done. Oh boy.
How are things with you?
Nah, mom's in the hospital.
Oh no.
I don't know all the details. I know somewhat what happened, but basically just so I don't mind speaking a little bit on this, but she has had a version of AFib in her heart for a while.
Okay.
And this version is one where it kind of goes in and out, but it's not enough for a pacemaker and it's not enough for anything of that nature. But anytime she goes into the hospital, they like want to immediately do all kinds of stuff with her. You know what I mean? And so basically this time she's been kind of, they've alarmed her bed, all that other kind of stuff. And she's just sick and tired of it. And so my brothers are trying to help and deal with as best as we can. She said, or Christopher told me yesterday, he's the one in the Brood, or today, that she might ask me to come tomorrow and help her out. But everything, as far as her actual health, seems to be okay. It's just the drugs they immediately put her on make her probably 80% cognizant as opposed to the 100. And so everything's very questionable,
Yeah.
And so yeah, just stupid stuff. She went in because of flu-like symptoms that she wasn't sure about, and so yeah, just drives me nuts. A lot of people act like AFib is like absolutely end all be all, you're about to die, and it's not always.
No.
Especially when you've had it for a very long time, which there are people who do, so just, yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
But what's been up with you guys? Just still on baby watch mostly?
Yep.
Gotcha. Hey, look who it is. It's Casey. Casey says hi.
Hey, Casey.
Alex says hi.
Talking
about your mom.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just letting him know because he asked. So, but yeah, I've just been trying to get work done, starting to get back on track with things. Basic stuff.
Same old.
Yeah, more or less.
Got a glittery fairy for us back here tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if he's looking at the camera or anything, so.
I am not.
But
Hello.
Yep, she said we have a glittery fairy forest behind me tonight. I said yes.
Kill.
So anyway, but yeah, here's one thing that I thought was interesting recently. I had a very short interaction with Kyle Hessler on Facebook, who was surprisingly, yet maybe not surprisingly, in the we should totally do a Gaston was the hero all along movie.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, and his reasoning was that rhetorically it's clapping back at Wicked and Maleficent and things of that nature, to do something like this where it's not the same story but an alternate universe, and so he's for it. And so basically, like I said, okay, here's the problem with that though. Any narratival reading of the only story that Gaston exists in, which is Disney's Beauty and the Beast, not the entire fairy tale. He absolutely throws out an old man who's begging for help out of his what seems to be his tavern, then decides he's going to pay the asylum guy to essentially what's the term?
Institutionalize
him as blackmail to make Belle marry him, who doesn't want to marry him. So
yeah,
you can't take out the second act, and like that's just the same problem as the intellectual issues with making Elphaba, or who didn't have that name before, obviously, Wicked Witch of the West, or Maleficent evil. However, I'm not against the idea of having that rhetorical clapback. I told him this. I'm not against having that rhetorical clapback, but it needs to be a character that makes sense, and Gaston isn't it. And I was trying to think of who I would pick, and I told Abby last night, we were talking about it briefly. I said John Silver. John Silver would be, as the good guy, a Treasure Island from John Silver's perspective would be amazing.
Yeah.
you have the Captain Smollett and all them, big government trying to come in and steal what they rightfully took care of themselves. Billy Bones was actually crazy and stole the treasure map, all that other kind of stuff. And so he's just trying to get it back to his crew. And then he really, of course, nobody is even going to question, he loves Jim. Every version, that's really totally true. But actually following that as like a father figure, and he's like, oh, but the mission, that's actually a cool, like, brooding character trait, sort of an arc with him, Yeah. And you can totally make John Silver a tragic hero.
Yeah. I could see that.
So I'm 100%. Yeah,
Treasure
I'm 100%
Planet almost did that.
Right, almost, yeah. They kind of almost did, yeah. Oh, boy. What did they call the captain in that one? It wasn't Smollett. It was something else.
I don't remember what her name was.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But, like, she was likable, too, and I think that's the thing. That's the thing. All of them were likable except for maybe Crab Guy.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I have against the movie in the general sense is like, and it's not even an issue with Robert Louis Stevenson's book, because the pirates are generally like pretty bad in Robert Louis Stevenson, but like Treasure Planet, like everyone's just so cool and weird, like it kind of lacks a villain in a sense. Like John Silver fills the role, but he's also like, you want him to like get through to Jim at the same time and be that father figure, and it's so confusing. And yes, that's kind of the point of the story on one level, but they really, really make him likable in that one.
Treasure Planet is I haven't read Treasure Island, and I know I need to.
But
I've
only read it once, but yeah.
But I've heard a lot of people who really enjoy the book say that Treasure Planet is actually like better than the original book. It's one of the very few adaptations of a good book that is better than that has a better adaptation.
Yeah, Robert Louis Stevenson, I think, was actually better with short stories and poetry than the longer books and things. Some people disagree with me, but I don't really generally like his novel writing style. However, I think that Treasure Island is just such an amazing story in general. Like the intrigue and the pull and the push of John Silver really makes the whole thing, as well as Jim Hawkins just seeking adventure. Like that's exciting. But I really still love the Muppet version. It's so good.
Yeah.
Honestly,
you know who did the music for the Muppet version, right?
It was Hans Zimmer, wasn't it?
It was Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. He didn't do the songs though. I forget who did the songs. But yeah, the songs are really good, probably, or someone like that in that vein. But
Mencken, Rice, something like that.
I want to find out who this was. It might have been Rice who did the lyrics, but let me see. Muppet Treasure Island songwriter. Let's see. Songs were written by pop songwriters Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil.
Mann and Cynthia Weil.
Weil. So
I'm pretty sure I've heard those names before.
Yeah, let me see here. I want to find out what they did. Okay, Barry Mann and then Cynthia Weil. So Barry Mann, looking at some of his stuff. So he did the song, Feelings from 1970. Feelings, nothing more than feelings. And he did a lot of other like pop songs that were hits and stuff like that. So yeah, he just did a lot of like pop stuff. It looks like okay, no. Okay, yeah, Somewhere Out There. From
okay.
What's it called? He also did some songs for Oliver and Company. So his main period seems to be like mid 70s through early 80s. And then Cynthia Weil, let's see. So she wrote some stuff. Let's see. Why am I not recognizing any of your songs? Oh, on Broadway. And not seeing a lot of others that I recognize, but seeing a lot of names that I recognize, like Linda Ronstadt and the Righteous Brothers, Dionne Warwick, Hall & Oates, stuff like that. So she wrote for a whole bunch of people during a little bit earlier period, it looks like, just slightly. So, but yeah, apparently they did the songs. The songs are amazing. But yeah, the thing that I really love the most though about Muppet Treasure Island is probably the very, very best, and some other pretty good ones. I think the kid who plays Jim Hawkins is actually a lot better than people give him credit for. He has that falsetto voice that people whine about, but like he's actually a pretty good actor and he does a good job with puppets for someone as young as he is. Tim Curry is the best actor with the Muppets ever, even beating out Michael Caine. Like, good gracious, Tim Curry with the Muppets is just absolutely having the time of his life.
It's because Tim Curry is a Muppet.
Exactly. So, but he's also just a really, really good John Silver. There are some really subtle moments where he's like kind of trying to hide from Jim, like the other side of him, but like you can see it's almost he's pulling something that almost feels like a drug addict who's like totally fine and cool with his nephew, you know what I mean, but then like hiding the dark side underneath it all, right? And I really, really love what he does there, because that feels so much more John Silver from the book to me than Treasure Planet John Silver. As much as I love him, he's very good, you know. But yeah, so. But yeah, John Silver as the good guy. I'd be down for that.
That'd be cool.
Heck, I'd even be fine with Captain Hook, to be honest with you.
I feel like Captain Hook would be a really easy one to do.
Yeah, because Peter Pan's so evil. Oh, boy.
I'm not sure I'd go that far, but it wouldn't be too much of a stretch.
Let's put it this way. Everything that Peter Pan is based on is pure evil. But that's on purpose, right? Like,
yeah.
That's what J.M. Barrie is doing. Like he's basically saying like this is the raw, unadulterated paganism that is inside all little boys.
Yep.
So Oh boy. But yeah, I recorded and posted in the Brood the Fields of Athenry version of Psalm 77 that I did a while
I
ago.
saw that. I have not listened to it. I think I listened to it whenever you did it a while ago, but I haven't listened to it again.
I just added some reverb and a little bit of like compression and stuff to it. It's a straight a cappella. Are you familiar with Sean-Nós style?
No.
Sean-Nós is Irish Gaelic, means the old way. And it's just what they call like people who sing a ballad a cappella with lots of trills and runs and things like that. And they don't necessarily pay as much attention to tempo, although you have to be decent, as far as that goes. But the point is more the expression of a single person and their voice. I was trying to do a Sean-Nós style rendition. So yeah. I'm hoping that that'll be my final version. I may tweak it slightly, but the idea is that'll be one of the tracks on the album I'm working on. So what have you been mulling over? I've been listening to a little more podcasts lately, so I might be able to speak on some of the things that they were talking about.
Yeah, these last couple that they did were really interesting. The perversions of Augustinianism.
Yeah,
really interesting episode.
Well, the only thing that I had about that was like I agree, and I can point a few out, but I also want them to like name names, and they weren't.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are we talking about here? Because you could be talking about the Vantillians, but I don't think you're actually talking about the Vantillians. I think you're going further back.
I think Tom Price is definitely talking about the Vantillians. Tom Price does not like Vantil.
I'm aware. But he also doesn't say anything negative that I've heard about Vantillians, more so Vantil.
Yeah.
I've never heard him actually go on any rant about like Bonson, for instance.
I don't think he's gone on a rant about Bonson, but I think he's I've definitely heard him rant on the podcast about the Vantillians and their insistence or their reflexes against logic and rationality, because it has to be in the Bible, is the way that he characterizes it.
Yeah, I think it's more...
I haven't heard him name names, but I've definitely heard him group everybody together and say, okay, the Vantillians, they're not right on this.
Well, the big difference between the Vantillians and the Clarkians on this particular thing is Vantillians, even though they don't do it well enough, this is kind of the thing with CREC being like... we believe in all these doctrines of God, but we don't want to emphasize them because they don't touch down on grass. This is our problem right here, is that proving something and asserting something from scripture are two different things. Right? If you are attempting to prove something, then it must be in scripture for you to actually say beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is proven. Now you can pull it from inferences, but it has to be, it has to be in scripture in some kind of way in order for it to be proven. Now that doesn't mean true. There are things that are true that cannot immediately be proven by scripture. But we assume that in most cases, that if it is in fact fully true, you can probably eventually prove it via scripture if you go far enough and deep enough. That being said, it doesn't have to be proven in the scripture in order to be true, but it does need to be in the scripture in order to be proven. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't agree with that.
I understand that, but it is a bit of a straw man to say that because that's what the Clarkians believe. Clarkians would go with the idea that, like, if it's not in scripture, you can't even assert it as being true, right? Which is ridiculous. I love you. Have a good night, Hazel. Are you going to bed? Okay. Good night. Go ahead.
I remember being so shocked to find out that David Reese was a Clarkian.
Right?
That's what?
I mean, he's more reasonable than some Clarkians I've met.
I'm sure.
Oh boy. But yeah, no, like the point is proving versus not. So basically, like, we would say, because there's a big not just with Vantil, but with everybody who's, you know, who he's flowing from, there's a very strong Christian liberty streak. So the question is, overall, especially because they were being pushed from the liberal side and they were wanting to be honest with the liberals on what the liberals were right about. In that, not the scripture, they were completely wrong about scripture, but when it came to some Christian liberty issues, they were actually right. But most of the time they weren't. But the point being that if you are to bind someone's conscience, it must be with scripture, right? And therefore intellectual binding is the same way, right?
And I just can't make that leap. Like, if you're talking moral action, if you're talking like action in the real world, I'm good. I'm good with saying that. If you're binding someone's conscience, it has to be from scripture, in their action. If you're binding them to believe something on an intellectual level, I think that there is more than just scripture that can be appealed to there. I think that logic and rationality.
Give me an example, because I'm not following what you're saying exactly.
2 plus 2 equals 4.
Okay, are you saying that that's true? Because right? Are you saying it?
I'm saying that mathematical reasoning formula are binding on an intellectual level and are not provable from scripture by itself. That's a very like baseline example. There are others that I could think that
nothing
I can
is
think
provable.
of.
Well, this is nothing is provable via scripture without creation. That's 100% true. However, the idea being, and this was kind of what they were getting at in the episode, the idea there is and they even agreed there's some validity to the argument. When someone posits that 2 plus 2 equals 5, okay, the way you prove them wrong is via scripture.
Yes,
because God is not illogical. Right?
Yes, because we have a consistent God who has created a world in his image to be consistent. And therefore, 2 plus 2 always equals 4. Right.
And so with that, you cannot take scripture by itself ever. And so the Vantillians would say that all of creation is subject to the scripture in that way, and not just subject to it in sort of a ruling sense, but subject to it in an logical sense, right? The world follows the Bible. It can't but do that, right? And so, and there's good guys and bad guys and vessels for honor and dishonor, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas Clark would say all of the, it actually goes one step further and essentially removes, Clarkianism actually pushed against a lot of the contextual stuff that Bonson and other folks were doing, especially after Vantil. The idea that we need to get back to the context to understand fully what is being said. In that, they wanted to say every proposition made by scripture is axiomatic.
What?
Are you following what I'm saying?
I understand the phrase every
Right.
proposition made by scripture is axiomatic. I understand what that means.
Right.
I don't understand anything else.
Right. Oh, what? So the problem when you say that, this is the point I'm getting at, is what the Clarkians say. The problem is when you say that, you're essentially saying that these axioms exist totally in and of themselves apart from creation, honestly. Like that, you have to kind of say that in order to say it. Whereas Van Til would say God speaks to us through analogies, right? God is greater than we are, in not just in a quantitative level, but in a qualitative level.
Yeah, God is a qualitatively different type of thing.
Right. And so, therefore, he chose to speak to us through his word. That's how he speaks to us. And he gave us a world to enjoy, and we can know him and know things about him through that. But that is a gift versus the letter that came with it that explains the gift. Right? That's kind of just a basic idea. But it's not like the letter means much without the gift, right? It does, because he can say things that don't reference the gift, and like, I love you, and we can appreciate that and know it's true. But obviously when it references the gift, like, it's referencing the gift that we experience separate from the letter, right? Like that's real. So I don't think that we're really that far off when we talk about this, but I do think that there are people who are Vantillians who want to separate the word from reality, but they do so in a way that is like I said, this is proving something, right? Binding someone's conscience versus, the other. And you said, you can't separate 2 + 2 = 4 from actually having two things, right? Like, I'm with you. But as far as all that goes, the logic of 2 + 2 = 4 as a truth doesn't exist without scripture, which we talked about, right?
I would say that the logic of 2 + 2 = 4 doesn't exist without God. It is it is conceivable that it exists without scripture.
Right, but if I was to posit something that I could not prove via God's logic, wherever that exists, then it would probably be wrong. Probably. Right?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. If I was to posit something that did not comport to the logic, the words of God, then it would be false. Yes. More than likely, right? So that's
definitionally.
Right.
If it doesn't comport with scripture, then it must be false.
Right. And so by that, we are able to prove or not prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, beyond any kind of experiential thing that can be messed with by external forces. We're able to prove that it is true. Now, we could be wrong about what scripture says. There's that for sure. Yeah. But what scripture says is true, period.
Yes.
What it actually posits is true, period.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really the main thing. And the reason I'm a Vantillian is because, like, if I'm going to actually say something is true, I cannot make it an experiential answer. I can use that as anecdotal evidence, and I can use the soberness of my experience as anecdotal evidence. But that's what it is, because I am not finite. I am infinite. Or I'm not infinite. I am finite. Right. And thus likely to err. But, doesn't mean that I'm wrong. So, that's why it's so important for me, because I grew up in this, and you can see how people can get really pompous pretty quickly when they feel like they know all of scripture,
Yeah.
And that's what they're talking about in the podcast, and I'm 100% with them on that. I dealt with that growing up, like not just with Joe, but all kinds of people. And I always took it as because it was also like one of the big things Joe always prayed before sermons was, if I say anything at variance with your word, I pray that they would not hear what I'm saying, or would completely disregard it. I pray that you would forgive me and put me back on track. And so, like, that was a big deal growing up. And so when he did actually say something at variance, because he misread something, or I had a different idea of what the Bible was really saying, I tried to weigh it against the rest of Scripture. I didn't sit there and argue with him on an experiential level. Now, I sometimes I brought it back to him, sometimes and said, hey, what about this? And sometimes I didn't. It just depended on what it was. But that's just Joe. That's one example. But I did this with my mom and dad. I did this with other people. I did this unsuccessfly with the charismatic question of gifts and that sort of a thing, because I was more on Brendan's train at one point. And that's when I came around to realizing that postmillennialism kind of solves that problem, which I've talked to you about before. But yeah, I see you're on mute too, so you might be talking to someone else. Who knows?
Oh, no, I don't know why they're muted.
But yeah, so does that kind of make sense with what I'm saying? It taught me how to argue on a logical level, but it was never, when someone makes logic the end all be all, like you have to win the game, that's when you lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it says that all anecdotal evidence is completely irrelevant, which it is not.
Yeah, of course. That's ridiculous.
Right. But if you are trying to prove something, I would argue that anecdotal evidence does not prove, but it may lend credence. That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some Thomists, I'm not talking about the podcast guys, because I think they would reject this outright, but there are some Thomists that I've met who, especially in the Kennist camp, who essentially say, like, if I can make sense of it using biblical logic, then it must be true. If I can make sense of it,
also ridiculous.
Right? Absolutely ridiculous. That's how they come to all the stuff about nations and nationalities and skin colors and all that other kind of stuff. Well, they're different than us, therefore, they're a separate nation. The end.
Yeah.
Even though they might be your neighbor.
Yeah.
Literal next door neighbor. So, oh boy. But yeah, I feel like when we come together on that and we have our George Grants and our podcast guys working and talking together with your Doug Wilson, C.S. Lewis style Vantillians, like that's when things start to actually happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, oh man. But yeah, kind of crazy about the Kyle Hessler thing, huh?
Yeah.
We may have to have him on at some point and talk about that.
I am so down for that. Because as I say, every time Ian brings up the whole Gaston was the hero thing, I was there whenever it was written.
Oh boy. What'd you say?
I cannot stand that whole discussion.
I was talking to Casey tonight about that a little bit, and she was like, wait, I thought like LeFou probably was the only one who really actually believed in Gaston, and everyone else was just kind of playing along, and he was egotistical. I'm like, no, and I point out all the evidence in the movie and like go through like 15 different things. Like, no, he is quarterback in the small southern town, and she didn't even realize that because she was so engrossed in the movie, which very much puts us in Belle's point of view of Gaston the entire movie.
Yeah.
We only ever see Gaston from Belle's point of view, and so she just took Belle's POV as truth, which was interesting to me.
Yeah.
And so when I explain, no, like, as far as the town is concerned, Gaston is the hero, or was the hero, until the prince came back, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of blew her mind a little bit. She never thought of it that way.
Because also, if you're looking at it historically, Gaston was probably what is it? When does Beauty and the Beast take place? Gaston is probably like a French Revolutionary fighter, right?
He's before the French Revolution.
Before the French Revolution.
Just before,
probably military man before the French Revolution.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. If he wasn't a military man, he was just a great hunter, and that's enough to win you credit, in a small provincial town, which I also had to keep reminding her of too. Like, this is literally, and one of the other points that people don't realize is, like, okay, yes, Belle positing that it's a small provincial town seems to be a bit of a, like, backhanded comment. And she seems to be the only one who doesn't like Gaston. So how do we know what's true, what's not true, until Gaston does bad things, obviously. But when you actually look at the beginning and she goes into the book, the bookstore, who's in there?
Repeat the question, please.
Okay, so, like, we know it's a small provincial town as far as, like, literally provincial, but, like, she seems to be singing about it like it's this sort of backwoods place, and she can't really have any intellectual conversations with anybody. And a lot of people, especially from a right-wing perspective, initially think of that as, like, sort of a backhanded liberal you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that I've heard quite often, even in passing, about Belle. But this is the thing people miss. When she goes into the bookshop, who's there?
The librarian.
Or
the
bookkeeper.
Yeah, bookkeeper.
Right. That's it. Nobody else. And the whole time during that entire song, she's crowded by, like, hundreds of people.
Yep.
At least dozens of people. She walks in the bookstore. It's a freaking ghost town.
Yeah.
She is literally in backwoods nowhere. Like, that's undisputable. That's not her just being mean. In fact, she's trying to be kind to people as she passes by. Bonjour. She's trying to be nice, and people are all talking behind her back, and she doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Other than, man, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's a perfectly reasonable. It's a perfectly reasonable response, and
right.
The
level to which Belle does not complain about her circumstances, like, she does once or twice, but the level to which she is suppressing being absolute miserable cow about her circumstances is actually kind of inspirational.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in our Beauty and the Beast episode. The musical is the Broadway musical version of Beauty and the Beast is the best way to experience the Disney Beauty and the Beast. Like, there is so much more to the Broadway than there is to the movie, and the movie is dang near perfect. The movie is my highest rated movie of all time.
Right.
The movie gets a 102 out of 100.
Right.
Like, it's a great movie, but the Broadway is so much better. Like, it does such a good job of adding characterization to Belle, actually to basically everybody in the entire musical. It's legitimately incredible.
So let me ask you this about the movie then. what do you make of? Have you heard what Nate Wilson has said about it?
Yes, I have. I was actually going to bring that up.
Go
But
ahead.
ask your question.
Well, basically,
No,
just
ask your question.
What do you think of his take on the dangers, particularly for young women, of watching the movie?
I think that he's not altogether incorrect, but he has missed Chesterton's point from Orthodoxy. Okay. Chesterton talks about Beauty and the Beast in Orthodoxy, and he says the great moral of that story is a moral that is deeply Christian, and that is that a thing must be loved before it is lovable.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so fundamentally true. That is fundamentally true of the story of Beauty and the Beast in any of its incarnations. I mean, that is true throughout every version of Beauty and the Beast that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what Nate misses there, which sucks because I agree with Nate Wilson on like 99.9% of what he says, but that's one of the very few things that I disagree with him on. No, Beauty and the Beast is not a bad tale for little girls. If that's the only tale that they're watching, then yes, that is a bad thing. But the message that a thing must be loved before it is lovable is obviously on its face true and Christian and right and proper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't notice that.
What?
Hold on a second. I was just looking up, and I've talked about it before with you, but yeah, huh. Interesting. So you remember in Song of Albion, now that you've read it, that one of the stories that Tegid tells, I believe it is in the Grove of Gofanen. He tells the story of Arianrhod, and her, basically like the story of it was a old woman. They accidentally kill her husband in the forest, her two brothers, and one of them runs away and the other one stays, and she takes him as her new husband.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I remember this.
That's a very, 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 very ancient version of Beauty and the Beast with the gender swap.
Yeah.
And Arianrhod, I was just looking her up because I was trying to find more about that in particular and whatever else. And guess who her father was?
Your great grandpappy.
Yep, Bellimar.
Who?
Bellimar. Son of Gaia.
Yeah.
Son of Gaia.
Yep.
So I just thought that was interesting. Oh boy. But yep.
So you are very distantly related to Belle, apparently.
Apparently, as far as the folklore goes. Oh boy, that's kind of cool. I didn't notice that before. But yeah, so, or the Beast anyway.
Like, no,
the Beast, but female version.
What's your take on Nate's? So what's take on Beauty and the Beast?
What's my take on Nate's take on Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah. Because he asked me what my thoughts were on it.
Yeah, I think that you're correct in general. I think that the biggest thing actually being missed by almost everyone who talks about the film is, and I don't know why it is, but it's extremely, without this one song and this one scene, the movie does not work. And really truly is Stockholm Syndrome, the movie, and that is something there. Everyone always seems to have complete and total amnesia for that scene. And if I was to pick out a, what's the term, weakness in the film, it would probably be something there. Not that it's not good, but it just doesn't seem to be as effective as it was for me on the majority of people. Actually showing the give and take of that relationship can be tedious and long. And that was the other scene that people forget is what after he saves her from the wolves, and she is cleaning his wounds.
Are you done with the 2 months more? Speak that out.
Yep. You were saying?
But yeah, the scene after the wolves where she's cleaning his wounds too. That's a really, really good scene to show this as well. When they actually argue and he relents, right?
Yeah.
And so like the process is one that, like I said, is tedious, it's hard, and it's hard to portray, especially in a visual medium. I'm not sure how you would do it better, but there probably is a better way of doing it. I don't know if the musical does it better or not. I still haven't gotten through it. I need to. I need to find a version to actually see like the stage play, I feel like. But
I mean, I grew up just listening to the musical version. The musical is not entirely sung through, but almost entirely sung through.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll definitely look into that. But do they address this more than in the animated version, or about the same?
I think it's about the same. I want to say it's more, but I can't think of a specific number that's added.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the thing. When I hear Nate talk about this, I'm like, you're an extremely good storyteller. You know what's what, and you know what's effective. And like, I actually trust you in a lot of this, but you just seem to have amnesia about these couple parts. And that's usually what I experience when I see a film and someone else that I really appreciate doesn't like it for whatever reason. And sometimes the biggest version of this was me coming around to realizing what I experienced wasn't the movie, which would be Rise of Skywalker, actually. Because what I experienced in Rise of Skywalker was much more my idea of what Rey could have been. Like seeing little bits of it peek through and assuming a lot of things about her character. And then I realized, it's not actually really there. So, you know, it's not in the text.
Which is fair and understandable.
Right.
My word, do I hate that movie so much.
Right. I can't say I hate it simply because of the fact that I had that experience, but it is a bad movie, and I have no problem saying it's a bad movie. A very bad movie. I don't have a problem with saying that anymore. But I am still in the you two still haven't found what I'm looking for sense, like chasing what I did experience in a way. Does that make sense? So but that's being an artist. So
yeah.
But yeah,
fan fiction.
Maybe not fan fiction, but like some of my other stories and things. There's I honestly felt very similar to Moana in a lot of ways. There's a maternal protagonist thing. Mrs. Brisby from A Secret of Nim. I really like that character. The character who is the mom who has to go on an impossible quest to save her kids or save her husband or save whatever. Neo Wingfeather, for that matter. I really feel like that character, when done rightly, and I know Moana wasn't a mom, but she was the chief's daughter and going to be the chief. Like there was real weight on her shoulders, you know? I actually like seeing that from the perspective of I actually have to bring peace back to my home, as opposed to I have to go get the thing and finish the quest so my home can have peace. I think that's a distinction that ends up throwing off a lot of Hollywood who's trying to girl boss, is the distinction between and of course, because they don't have the metaphysic for it, but a mother trying to bring home peace is actually a compelling story narrative that I don't think we do. We don't need to flood the market with it or anything like that, but it is a story that we need to do better and do more often.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't remember who it was, but there was whenever Daily Wire was making their foray into films, which they now seem to have completely abandoned, except for Pendragon Saga.
They're betting the
which
farm.
Also looks. Say what?
I just said they're betting the farm.
I don't think they're even betting the farm. I think they've already pulled out of that bet. Because they have not started production on season 2 at all. It looks like they're just making one season based off of book 1 and calling it quits, which sucks.
Oh wow, that does suck.
Can
we please give Stephen Lawhead a little bit more credit?
That's what I'm saying, at least. I haven't read Pendragon Saga, but of the 3 Stephen Lawhead series that I've read, which are Dragon King trilogy, you were just talking about it.
Song of Albion,
and Hood, the Raven King trilogy.
Yep.
Raven King is by far and away the most adaptable one. Raven King should be adapted. It's such a good story. It would work so well in a visual medium.
Right.
It's so good.
What do you think about Albion if it was adapted? Do you think that it's too big of a scope and not big enough of a name like a Lord of the Rings to be adaptable? Or do you feel like this could be something good? Because we've talked about Albion before fairly in depth personally. I don't know if we've ever talked about it on Poets at War very deeply, but like, obviously it's one of my favorites. I've talked about it up and down, left and right, whatever. You liked it, weren't blown away by it, but you liked it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was definitely like a good, very good experience. I think you said B+ or something like that.
Yeah, solid B+, A-.
Yeah. So
territory.
Yeah. So in that regard, what, like, if there was going to be a film, and let's do all the contingencies, but let's just start with, if they did a Chronicles of Narnia 2005, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or above, somewhere between there and Lord of the Rings, adaptation of the Paradise War. We'll just say the Paradise War, the first one. How excited would you be? Would you love it? Like, would you be excited for more films if they did it? Like, tell me what you would think if we got that. Something that's Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe level of adaptation or better, but not quite Lord of the Rings.
I'd be super excited for that.
Yeah.
I'd be super excited to see what they did. If it's of that quality, then yeah, I would of course be looking forward to seeing more out of that world, out of that story, because quite honestly, like, there's just nothing else in that niche right now.
Right.
Like, as far as fantasy goes, we're in kind of a drought of good fantasy. Because we have The Witcher, which is a deeply non-Christian series that is even more deeply non-Christian whenever Netflix gets its grubby paws all over it. And then we have the abomination that is The Rings of Power by Amazon. And that's really it. Like, none of Sanderson's works seem to be getting adapted. Trust the Emerald Sea was really close to being adapted, but it fell through this year. He just talked about that in the State of the Sanderson. So, like, there's nothing in, like, good fantasy right now. And there really hasn't been since I don't even know, man. I'm trying to think of the last like good fantasy.
Would you count Harry Potter's ending?
I've only seen the first Harry Potter. I can't speak to it. I've heard so many mixed things about it.
Yeah.
I was told by Jesse that I needed to read it, and so I trust Jesse implicitly. I will read it, but I have no opinions of it as of right now.
Yeah.
But I like, is the last good piece of fantasy? There's no way the last good piece of fantasy media we got was Lord of the Rings, right?
Well, no, because 2005 we got, I would argue, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was really good. Every time I see that, I'm more and more convinced of how really, truly good that was. Obviously, there were still some things in it that weren't in there that should have been, and some things added in that were kind of and they tried to make it too Lord of the Rings and not fairy tale enough, but like it was still a really, really good adaptation.
2005 was the year that Return of the King came out, though, right?
No, that was 2003. Because they came out year after year after year.
It was not. I don't think.
They came out year after year after year, and 2001 was Fellowship of the Ring.
I thought it was 2000 was Fellowship, 2002 was Two Towers, and 2004 was Return of the King.
Return of the King release. December 17th, 2003. I was there, sir.
Okay, you got it.
They came out year after year.
Mea culpa, mea maxia culpa.
Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written.
Fair enough. Okay, so boy. Narnia. Was Narnia the last good fantasy thing?
Probably. I wouldn't count Caspian, even though I don't hate it as much as a lot of people did. It was still, it wasn't even the inaccuracy that was the problem. It
just wasn't a good movie.
Yeah. It put too much emphasis on the Pevensies. Which is saying a lot, but like they really wanted to like force this idea and play. I think they lost when they decided to. I think that the comparisons to Lord of the Rings for the first one were so strong, and people were saying this is the Temu version of Lord of the Rings, that they went, okay, well, what else is popular? Harry Potter. Let's lean into that a little bit with some of the dynamics.
Yeah.
And bad idea.
Yep.
Dude, because they are even less alike than Lord of the Rings and Narnia.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just some of the fighting with Peter and Caspian, like, ugh, it was just bad.
Yeah, it's not good. However, I will say, I do like their Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Fox's Voyage of the Dawn Treader. No. I think that is a. I think that is legitimately an interesting and well done adaptation. It's not a good adaptation, but I do think that they did a good job with what they had.
There are highlights. The overall experience that I had with that movie leaves such a bad taste in my mouth simply because of, oh my word. Okay. So like, obviously everyone talks about the Dark Island and how bad it is.
Which it is. It's bad.
But the thing that bothers me more than anything else is the buying into the green curdle is Jadis, which is inherently not part of the text of Narnia whatsoever. And the reason they did that was so that they could have Tilda Swinton.
Yes.
And that is such a boneheaded removal from the text. You're not even trying to justify it anymore.
That's fair.
When you make that decision, I really am not interested in anything else you have to say.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah,
I can appreciate that.
And there are other lowlights in the movie, but yeah.
The thing that I appreciate about the movie is I would argue that it's genius, like legitimately genius, to merge the islands the way they did. Like, you have a 2 hour at the absolute most movie, and you have 7 islands that you need to visit, and the thought and the care that they put into putting the islands together, I thought was legitimately fantastic.
Yeah, I this is why Dawn Treader for me is the most unadaptable of all of them, even more than Last Battle.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're gonna do it, you have to do a miniseries.
Yep.
And if you're gonna do it any kind of justice, you have to do a miniseries. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that a miniseries of the Dawn Treader is even that compelling, to be honest with you. It would have to be unbelievable quality.
Yeah.
Dawn Treader is
so obviously that's what Netflix
literary.
is gonna do, right?
No. No. I don't think so. They talked about it, but that was back when Aldridge was the runner, which I wasn't happy about that either. But like, he seemed to have a vision.
Who was the runner?
It was like Michael Aldridge or something.
Who is he?
He was the guy who did Coco, the Pixar's Coco.
Really?
Yeah, he was the one who was initially named, not the director of the first or anything, but he was going to be the this is back when they still wanted Kevin Feige's over everything. He was going to be the architect, the Kevin Feige over Narnia. And he backed out right around the time they got Greta Gerwig, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
That's so great.
He had some dumb stuff to say too, and was definitely not going to be doing anything that I was okay with, really. But he did say he did say that he wanted to do some of them as movies and some of them as a series, and like he felt like they had to be adapted a certain way, and so he was actually like thinking about it from that perspective. And meanwhile, we might actually get 90s Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe with Big Macs instead of Turkish Delight this time. Who knows? You know about that script? I've told you about that before, right? That was floating around during the 90s.
No, you have not. I don't want to know.
I just happen to know from people who were in Hollywood that there was a script floating around where they were seriously talking about having either a McDonald's or a Burger King product placement for the food that the 90s extreme Edmund would be asking for from the witch.
Beep, beep, beep. Can I get a trip to Mars? I don't want to share a planet with people who think that having Edmund ask for a Big Mac is a good idea.
Oh, Edmund's part of the Burger King Kids Club, right? Anyway. Oh my goodness.
Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is so easily adaptable.
It is.
How?
I'd argue the next most adaptable is the silver chair. And we keep not getting the silver chair, and I'm kind of salty about it because it's my favorite.
I kind of. We have what, like 15 more years until Narnia hits public domain?
Something like that. Not too far. Not too far.
As soon as it hits public domain, every homeschool kid's senior project who is interested in movies is going to be a fan film of Narnia.
Yep.
Every single one. It's going to be amazing.
Yep.
We're going to have like 40 fan films of Narnia.
We're going to have a Lego musical of Narnia that will put like whole big budget movies to shame.
It's legitimately going to be amazing. Like, all of the homeschool kids who grew up on Adventures in Odyssey are going to be making Narnia musicals and Narnia movies and Narnia whatever form of media. It's going to be lovely.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Now, if we can just fix the copyright system so that happens as soon as Douglas Grisham dies.
Right. Yeah, no kidding.
I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised that he isn't dead yet, though.
Yeah,
he was supposed to. He apparently had a. He apparently was on hospice or something like 9 months ago.
Yeah, and we haven't heard anything. Yeah. The other one that just keeps coming back, it seems, is Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. What happened with Jordan Peterson recently?
Nothing that I'm aware of. Just like, what was it, 4 months ago or something like that? His daughter was talking about how like sick he was and stuff.
Yeah, I mean he's had health problems for years, but he hasn't been like on death's door, I don't think.
Well, she was talking about it like it might be.
Interesting.
Yeah. So kind of weird.
I was just listening to the Cross Politic like first episode of the year.
Yeah,
where they were talking
to the
about
Jordan Peterson part. Yeah, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but yeah, I heard the Jordan Peterson part.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Speaking of Lewis, I just finished rereading Mere Christianity today.
Any new revelations?
That book is so flipping good.
It is. It's a very good book.
It's so good. Like, it's so interesting how it's so close to being Calvinist.
It is. It is Calvinist. Let's be honest. If you actually look at everything it says, it's Calvinist.
It's like 70% Calvinist. And then he starts talking about like the reason that evil happens is because if God were controlling us, then there wouldn't be free will, and that's the ultimate goal. I'm like,
yeah, there is that section, yeah.
No, Lewis.
But also, like, free will isn't the problem; it's autonomous will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? We don't believe in autonomous will. We believe in free will. We don't believe in autonomous will. So, like, when he talks about free will, he's talking about it like an Arminian. But I appreciate the subject, and I have no problem using the phrases and talking about the free will of man because, and this is something I'm realizing that is the biggest difference between me and most of the kind of people that Tim Price was railing against and everything is I am in the same sense as the Puritans, the real OG Puritans, a Christian humanist to the core.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that in what Tolkien put into that poem, although now long estranged, man is not wholly lost nor wholly changed. Disgraced he may be, is not dethroned, and keeps the rags of lordship once he owned. Man subcreator, the refracted light, from whom is sprinkled from a single white to many hues and endlessly combined in living shapes that move from mind to mind. Used or misused, that right is not decayed. We make still by the law in which we're made.
Yep.
So like that's the big thing I think that separates folks who are, you know, trying to basically do a form of stoic Gnosticism in a real clear sense. Like this Bible is it. We found it. We want to stop here. And it's like, well, actually, God made you to be a sub-creator. And whatever that looks like, you know, you might not be making art. Like, we just immediately think creativity means art. It doesn't. But, like...
Creativity means creatively solving solutions to how to fix a broken shower.
Right. Or a broken world.
Exactly.
And that's actually our job. And we have to take into account a Christian anthropology. And quite frankly, if we're not getting accused by the, not just Calvinists, but the people who are like, basically, Jesus says it, that settles it, the end, you know, the people who do that like reflexively and don't even want to talk about doctrine, right? You're some Wesleyan, some Church of God, Church of Christ, you know, that crowd. Like, if we're not making them say, making them question our anthropology, we're bad Calvinists.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, this is Lewis all over again with Prince Caspian. That is when Caspian says you're a son of Adam and that's enough to raise the head of the lowliest beggar and shame the highest king. You know?
Yep.
So this is why I push like I do on the AI thing. You know, it's like, I know there are some places I'm wrong and I have relented in certain areas and I'm trying to find a groove so as to not cause any brothers to stumble, which is my biggest concern. And learn how to do it right to create a model for which future kings and rulers can follow me, you know? Is that hubristic? Yes. Am I praying every second of the way? Yes. And this is one thing I appreciate about you is you allow me to question myself to you.
Yeah.
That really helps. A lot of people in our society today act like it's unmanly for a man to question himself. You know what I mean? Like he must always be confident. I'm not always confident, but what I am confident in, I'm really confident in it to the point where it annoys people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
So what if somebody is not familiar with Christian nonfiction literature, what would be the first thing that you would suggest for them to start with Lewis?
Ooh, with Lewis?
Yeah, with Lewis specifically.
I think it really depends on the person.
Interesting.
Most of the time, I'm actually going to probably go with... What's the other one? Probably Surprised by Joy or The Problem of Pain.
Interesting.
Yeah. For most people, I'll probably go with The Problem of Pain, to be honest with you.
I've read Surprised by Joy. I don't think I've read Problem of Pain.
Oh, let's see. C.S. Lewis. It's pretty short if I remember correctly. It's been a long time. I haven't read a lot of Lewis nonfiction recently. Let's see here. How long is it? I found a PDF of it. It is with all the footnotes and everything else.
Do we consider that hideous strength fiction or
nonfiction? Good question at this point, right? I'd say fiction just because of the characters, but you know, names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy. If Dragnet is fiction, then that hideous strength is fiction. Oh boy. But The Problem of Pain, like I said, I've just pulled up a PDF of it. It's 102 pages with everything, like all the beginning and end matter. It's not super long. It's basically the problem of evil, kind of a thing. And he walks through it in a very clear way. I feel like that's most people's first objection to Christianity. Mere Christianity is a good introduction to anthropology in general and religion in general.
Yeah.
However, I feel like most people are more informed today on what religion is than someone in C.S. Lewis's day.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's better to attack real strong philosophical questions, and both Surprised by Joy and The Problem of Pain do that very, very clearly. And very, very upfront. He deals with stuff very directly, very head on, which is not Lewis's typical way of dealing with stuff, and he still does his, Oxford Don thing. He meanders on and not in a bad way, but like he reasons through things in a way that is scholarly and grandfatherly, and like he does, but he's actually answering the questions, the hard questions. As opposed to, I'm going to speak on a subject, which is what most of his stuff is. So, yeah. And Surprised by Joy is a little bit more that way, but it's still talking about some major philosophical questions, So.
Yeah. Like, Surprised by Joy is his autobiography, effectively.
I believe so.
So.
Let me see. Yeah, if I remember correctly. But yeah. Yes, partial autobiography. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
what was the last book that Lewis published in his lifetime?
Good question. Let's find out. Book C.S.
Was it English literature?
Published
Hey there.
in his lifetime.
I think it was English literature. I could be wrong.
Apparently, The Great Divorce.
Really?
1945.
Huh. I have read The Great Divorce. It's absolutely wonderful.
I have not yet. That's one of those ones on my list. Have you read Till We Have Faces?
It is also super short.
Oh, wait, no, excuse me. Till We Have Faces was his last one, 1956. My bad.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
When did English literature come out?
Let me find out.
That's full title is English Literature in the 16th Century, excluding drama.
Looking. Looking. Release date. Looks like 1954, so 2 years before Till We Have Faces.
Okay.
So.
And he interesting that he didn't publish anything for the last 9 years of his life?
Something like that, yeah.
Huh.
It was after Joy died, I think. When did Joy Gresham die?
Davidman.
Yep, Joy Davidman, etc. Joy Davidman. She died in 1960. So, yeah, 2 years after Till We Have Faces came out.
I thought that A Grief Observed came out after she died.
A Grief Observed. C.S. Lewis. Okay.
Is the
it was
AI
originally published.
again?
It was originally published under a pseudonym, which is why it wasn't picked up by the thing. But yes, A Grief Observed would be after Till We Have Faces.
Okay. And it was published when?
61.
Okay.
61.
So right after she passed away.
Right. The year my mom was born, 61. So it was originally under the pseudonym N.W. Clark. Clerk. N.W. Clerk.
Interesting. Why did he publish it pseudonymously?
It said because Lewis wished to avoid the connection, though republished in 1963 under his own name after his death. So someone made that call.
Yeah, that was Walter Hooper, I'm sure.
Well, let me see. The book is compiled from 4 notebooks used by Lewis to vent and explore his grief. He illustrates everyday trials of his own life without joy and explores fundamental questions of faith and theodicy. Lewis's stepson, Joy's son, Douglas Gresham, pointed out in his 1994 introduction that the indefinite article A in the title makes it clear that Lewis's grief is not the quintessential experience of loss of a loved one, but just one individual's perspective among countless others. I'm trying to see when it came out. Let's see. Yeah, it might have been Walter Hooper, like you were saying.
I'm pretty sure it was. I don't remember. It was one of the really early, not podcasts, podcasts that Doug Wilson put out. Whenever I was going back through and listening to all of them, he talked about a book that was basically outlining the beginnings of a case against Walter Hooper for just being a really terrible executor of Lewis's estate.
Yeah.
And he said, this is one of those things that we're not going to know until like 50 years down the line. But 50 years from now, some doctoral student really should look up all the archives and figure out what went on here.
So I got the second, but did I tell you I got the second volume of my Narnia set?
No.
The first volume hasn't come, and I'm wondering if it was, mispacked improperly, thinking that it was the same because the 2 volumes look very similar. And so I've messaged these guys, and they haven't messaged me back yet, and I'm getting kind of perturbed about it. But because the first volume's harder to find anywhere, like I could just like try and find it or whatever, but like I haven't. Let me see here, messages. I want to see if they've messaged me back. I don't believe they have. Nope, not yet. But let me write another one real quick. But yeah, basically like they show both volumes in their version and it says 2 volumes complete, et cetera, and I haven't gotten it, and so I'm just kind of trying to figure out what the deal is, but yeah,
what does the second volume include?
It's in proper order, so it's starts with Horse and His Boy Magician's Nephew. No, Horse and His Boy Magician's Nephew and Last Battle, and then it has an essay at the end called The Lion of Judah and Never Neverland. Let me see who that was. Judah in Never Neverland. Catherine Linskog. It was a Lindskoog.
Interesting last name.
Yeah, very much so. But it's just a basic like apologetic of where God is in Narnia. It was written sometime in the 70s. The set came out in 77 and is one of the last ones to have the American version in it, from what I can tell. But they're in proper order, and it's the American version and everything. And the first volume is harder to find because that's the one with Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And the other one doesn't even have 4 books. It just has 3. So the first one is the first 4 books, which arguably are the most popular. Comparatively. And then, you have the other 3, and then the essay. And so I'm just kind of perturbed about that, but let me grab it real quick. I'll show you.
Yeah.
So this is it here. Can you see?
Yeah, super nice.
Yep. There's the spine. I really like the font on the spine for the Chronicles of Narnia. This one says Volume 1, Volume 2, obviously.
Lovely.
And then it says Religious Book Club on the bottom. And then here it shows The Horse and His Boy, Magician's Nephew, Last Battle, The Lion of Judah, and Never Never Land. And this one has Care Paravel as the embossing here. And Volume 1 has a lion.
Okay.
And so those are the two that I grew up with and my dad read from. And so I'm hoping to, like I've told you, get those and everything, but show you the inside. It's got black and white Pauline Baines illustrations. I'm not sure if it has all of them. There's one. Hold on. Come on. Oh, I had one. Let's see. There's one. So
yeah.
So it's not the full color
Karn?
or anything, but that's Charn.
Yeah, that's Karn.
Yep. You say
Charn.
Karn? I say Charn. Well, that's how I always read it, so I hear Charn. I
Fair
think
enough.
Focus on the Family did Charn, but they also did Archenland. And I was wait, no, they did Archenland, and I was an Archenland.
Yeah, they did Archenland.
And I was an Archenland guy. My dad did the CH sound each time. But I'm happy. Archenland is fine to me. Like, that one doesn't bother me so much. My dad did Calorman and instead of Colorman. I don't know how you all did Calorman.
That's such a brute. How did we pronounce Colorman?
Yeah, did you say Colorman?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So except for Charn, you were pretty much on the same wavelength as radio theater.
Yep.
Gotcha. Do you think of any others where you differed with radio theater?
I can't think of any. I've read the books, I think, once.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else that I've listened to the radio theater, I know, at least 36 times.
Yeah.
I've listened to them so much, but I've only read the books once. Last year, I reread Lord of the Rings all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year I'm reading Chronicles of Narnia all the way through.
Oh, nice. Are you going to read normal order? Or are you trying another order?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
No, I'll read. I'll read the publication order. I think last time I read it in chronological order, just because that's how our collection is set up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this time I'm going to read it publication order.
Yep.